Hey everyone! YouTube's not showing my videos to many people right now. A simple like and comment really helps push it to others. I appreciate every bit of support. Ethan met his future wife Laura in the most unremarkable way imaginable, through a college friend's crowded house party. Back then, she was just the quiet girl by the chips and soda, eyes down, not much more than a blip on his radar. He didn't think twice about her. But a few weeks later, fate threw them together again at a small alumni mixer. This time the lights were softer, the crowd thinner, and Laura lit up the room. She wasn't just pretty. She thought deeply. She quoted both J.D. Salinger and Stephen King in the same breath, pivoted from dark fiction to dry humor with effortless grace. There was something magnetic about her, a quiet, artistic pulse under her reserved surface. It wasn't the kind of energy Ethan usually fell for. And maybe that's what made her irresistible. He didn't wait. Fueled by a mixture of charm and adrenaline, he looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Marry me. I'm serious. Let's build something real. A home, a life, all of it." Laura laughed, eyes wide, and then stunned him by saying yes. Not after a pause, not with hesitation. As if she'd been waiting for that exact question all along. Their wedding was small, personal. Backyard fairy lights, handwritten vows, cheap wine that somehow tasted expensive when shared in laughter. They'd spend the next few months curled on the couch with wedding photos, reliving the night that felt plucked from a dream. Long before they exchanged vows, Laura introduced Ethan to her so-called cousin Dylan. She admitted she couldn't quite remember which side of the family Dylan came from. Third cousin, maybe second? Her mom treated him like a second son. Laura said they'd practically grown up together. It seemed innocent enough. Ethan didn't ask questions. Why would he? Laura spoke about Dylan like he was a sibling. Her built-in best friend. Coffee runs, Sunday errands, movie nights in sweats while Ethan worked late. To the outside eye, it looked like comfort. Familiarity. But the more time passed, the more Dylan seemed present. Always. There in the background. Showing up unannounced. Sharing inside jokes. Taking up space in Laura's life in ways Ethan couldn't. Her sisters didn't hide their distaste for him, rolling their eyes, making sarcastic remarks when Dylan popped by. But Laura, she adored him. Childhood stories spilled out non-stop. The time he slipped off the backyard swing and chipped a tooth. The summer they built a cardboard fortress and camped out in it for 3 nights. Every story had one thing in common. Dylan was always there. Eventually, Ethan snapped during dinner and muttered, "You ever realize how every other sentence starts with, Dylan this, Dylan that?" Laura would just laugh and brush his arm. "To you, he's just Dylan. To me, he's always been part of my life." The origin story never changed. Laura's mom had taken Dylan in one summer when his mom, a distant cousin, was juggling 2 jobs. From that moment on, Dylan was family. That's just how it was. Then came the wildfire at Ethan's workplace. A literal blaze scorched part of the factory floor, throwing his entire department into chaos. Overtime became his new normal. He was gone before sunrise, home after midnight, too tired to talk, let alone be a husband. One morning, bleary-eyed and caffeine-starved, Ethan shuffled into the kitchen and noticed 2 wine glasses drying by the sink. "Celebrating something?" he asked, trying to keep it light. Laura smiled. "Dylan stopped by. He just got promoted. We toasted." Ethan said nothing, just nodded. But his gut churned. He hadn't had a real conversation with his wife in days, and yet she had time for celebratory wine with her cousin. He let it go. For the moment. Then a coworker, Steve, asked a question that changed everything. "Wait. Your wife spends how much time with this cousin guy? Dude, are you sure they're just family?" Ethan laughed it off at first. But something cracked inside. Tiny fissure. Seed of doubt. And that seed grew fast. He started reading endless Reddit threads, think pieces, clickbait articles. Asterisk when family isn't really family. Asterisk every text that made Laura laugh felt like a punch to the chest. Every night Dylan dropped by started to feel less like a coincidence and more like a pattern. Then came the breaking point. While tossing laundry from the basket, Ethan found something that didn't belong, a pair of men's boxer briefs. Not his. He stormed into the bedroom, gripping the patterned underwear like evidence at a crime scene. "What is this, Laura?" She barely looked up. "Dylan's washing machine broke. I did a load for him. Must have missed a pair." "Are you serious right now? You washed his underwear. You know that crosses every boundary we've ever talked about." Her voice rose, defensive. "He's family, Ethan. He helped raise me. I owe him." That night, for the first time in nearly 4 years, they slept in separate rooms. She took the bed. He took the couch. The ceiling stared back, unblinking. Laura tried the next morning. She brewed his favorite coffee, placed it quietly by the couch. But something had shifted. Something deep. A few weeks later, Ethan finally had a free day. He left work early, feeling like a teenager ditching class. He picked up Laura's favorite cupcakes, grabbed a bouquet of sunflowers, and headed home with a small grin, just wanting to surprise the woman he loved. She'd texted earlier. Day off. Staying in sweats all day. But when Ethan pulled into the lot, he saw Dylan's black SUV already there. His stomach sank. He climbed the stairs anyway. Door unlocked. Living room silent. Just the distant sound of something rhythmic. Familiar. The creak of bed springs. He dropped the cupcakes. They exploded across the floor. In 3 strides he was at the bedroom door. What he saw shattered everything. Laura, straddling Dylan, mid-thrust. Both frozen in the moment like a scene from a nightmare. Time stopped. Then Ethan moved. He yanked Laura off, barely registering her sobs as she crashed into the nightstand. Then turned on Dylan, and years of quiet rage finally exploded. One punch. Then another. Black eye. Split lip. Ethan didn't stop. Not once. That calm voice in his head just whispered, "Asterisk, you've wanted to hit this guy for years. Now you can." Asterisk. The next morning, Ethan drove straight to Laura's parents. No softening. No mercy. He told them everything. Laura's mother burst into tears, horrified. "How do I face the rest of the family now?" Her father just placed a heavy hand on Ethan's shoulder. Didn't say a word. But his eyes were wet. Going back was never on the table. Laura moved in with Dylan. But the fairy tale fizzled quickly. Less than 2 years later, Dylan announced he was engaged to someone else. And he wanted Laura out by the end of the week. She spent the next year bouncing between sad rentals and soul-sucking jobs. The divorce was finalized quietly. Laura claimed she didn't regret it. But when Dylan ghosted her, the silence stung harder than any courtroom stamp. Now, she sits alone. No husband. No cousin. No one left. Staring at 4 plain walls, trying to remember what love felt like before it twisted into something so unrecognizable. Wondering where to begin again, and if she even knows how.